To the Monday, July 26th Maplewood City Council meeting. We have a short agenda, but a very important agenda tonight. But I wanted to start off with giving you an update on our weather conditions and the drought that we are experiencing. Because I'm the mayor of Maplewood, I also serve on the St. Paul Regional Water Board. And so I can tell you that most of us, in Maplewood and St. Paul and a number of suburbs on this side of town, we get our water from the Mississippi River. And I'm glad to tell you that our water supply is safe. We're fine. But if you have been watching the news and experiencing the weather out there, we are in a drought. And right now, we are in a voluntary conservation period where we are supposed to be conserving water, and I hope you all are. Currently, the status is that if you live in a residence with an even number on your address, then you are able to water on even days. If you live with an odd number address, then you can water on odd number days. And it's a voluntary thing at this point in time, but I'm here to tell you that might be changing. The Water Board has called a special meeting for Thursday of this week. I can tell you, since my time on the Water Board, we've never had a special meeting. And I wanted to read something to you that went out to all the water commissioners today. We are not experiencing any issues with our ability to meet customer demands, which is good. We are required by our appropriations permit with the Minnesota DNR to reduce water use based upon defined flow data in the Mississippi River. Staff, obviously, at the Water Board is monitoring very closely the flow data from the river. The current request to abide by odd-even watering is due to the trigger being reached. We will outline this process and the steps we may need to take in the future if flow continues to drop in the Mississippi River. Currently, the Board of Water Commissioners has the authority to issue watering restrictions. It is not an action that the staff at the Water Board can actually make. That is what they are bringing to us at the special meeting on Thursday. I believe that they're going to be asking us to give them the ability to make these conservation efforts mandatory on everyone if we reach certain flow data, certain flow levels of the Mississippi River. So certainly, there's some tips. I think Mr. Sharon, I don't see him here, but maybe what we can do, Mr. Burgo, is get the FAQs from the Water Board up on our website so that people can see that. Some simple things like, don't run your dishwasher unless you have a full load. Don't run your washing machines unless you have a full load. Take a little bit shorter shower and conserve water, because I listened to the weather on the way over here, and it's only going to get hotter this week. I think we don't have any cooling off, and it's only going to cool off to the 80s this weekend. So we really need to all pitch in and conserve water. But we've got enough water supply. We're just being very, very cautious. So I wanted you all to know that. So there's my update for the night. We are going to start, like we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I have two Boy Scouts that are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tyler and John, correct? And James. And who? And James. James. Okay. Would you, the three of you, come on up? I didn't get to meet you before, James, but nice to meet you. Would you all please rise? Our flag is over here. Gentlemen, would you please introduce yourself, give us your name, and then you're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
My name is John Boros.
My name is Tyler Parizek.
My name is James Burt Williams.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. City Clerk Sint, would you please do the roll call for us?
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Knutson.
Here.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
Here. Thank you very much. Council members, let's move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Juniman.
I have one council presentation,
What is that?
mowing your lawn.
Thank you, and I have one as well. I followed up with Commissioner Reinhardt in terms of a request that Councilmember Cave made, and I'll follow up with that. Any other points to add to our agenda? Okay, hearing none, then let's move to a vote. All those in favor of the agenda as, I guess, amended, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for the July 12th City Council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the minutes of the July 12th, 2021 council meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's go to a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That passes as well. Appointments and presentations, we have the council calendar update. City Manager Coleman, that is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council. The council calendar is meant to just give you a snapshot of business that will be before you at our upcoming workshops or council meetings, and also some upcoming community events. So at our next meeting on August 9th, we will have the first review with Finance Director Paulseth of the 2022 budget. And at the meeting, you will also hear our strategic plan quarterly update and how we are fitting in and working with the ICMA Performance Management Program. On August 23rd, we will have another workshop looking at the budget and also the American Recovery Plan Act funds and how we might start looking how to use those funds. I also put out October 7th, which there'll be some meetings in between, but October 7th is on your calendar for the City Council staff retreat. So we are looking at that being either at the MCC or at Wakefield. We're just looking to see which space we think would work best. Under council comments, this is where the council's members have asked us to do some research on certain topics. One of them is parking space requirements, and as Director Thompson mentioned at our workshop, we are bringing together finally some of those ordinance changes that go with our comp plan, and that will also encompass some new parking regulations, so that should be coming before you within the next couple months. Our Park and Rec manager is looking at the buckthorn removal, and we'll be bringing a paper for you describing how other cities have used goats to remove buckthorn in their community. So that could be fun. And then charitable gambling fund distribution for 2022. This is something that staff has talked about, and I had a conversation with Mayor Abrams about we do have funds in the gambling fund this year again. And I'll let you, Mayor, kind of explain how that has been working and how we might have some ideas about maybe doing it a little bit differently.
Thank you, City Manager Coleman. As a council, we have the privilege of reviewing grants for our charitable gambling funds. I think we're going to have about $30,000. The grants typically come in the fall, and they come in from all sorts of different organizations and groups in our community. And they have a project that they would like funded. And I would say that just every year that I've done this since 2014, we have more requests than we have money. And so distribution becomes a really important issue. Now, last year we did not distribute the gambling funds. What we did was, as a council at that time, because we were in the pandemic, because the Y was so instrumental in distributing food in our community, we gave whatever the funds are, and it varies every year. It's based on the money that we get when different organizations in our community have charitable gambling events that they have to contribute money. And so we pool all that money together, and then we turn around and designate it to different groups in our community. And it could be anything from, I remember in past years, One class wanted to build a canoe. We've had requests for a variety of different projects. The Angel Fund with our District 622 Foundation, they have come forward with grants, just a variety, band groups, drama groups, looking for funding for projects that they normally would not do. And last year, we gave all of the money because food was such a priority, and the Y used that money to distribute food in our community. Well, what I have observed and it's a very hard job. It sounds like fun to be able to give out money like that. It's very challenging because everyone is worthy, and I think sometimes the temptation is to give everybody a little bit of something. That hasn't been my practice. What I have tried to do in distributing the funds is make a decision that looking at the group of applications, and they're all very worthy, but I recognize that if someone is asking for $1,500 and we only approve $300, chances are they're not going to be able to fulfill that project. They're not going to be able to accomplish what they wanted. And so what we have seen and what staff brought to my attention is that a lot of the money that we are going to be asked to distribute is money that different organizations could not use because they can't make up the difference. And so in looking at this, we've certainly done it the same way for many years, except last year. Looking at it and talking with staff, I wondered, and I wanted the input from my fellow council members, if we perhaps came up with topics. 1 year it could be children. One year it could be food insecurity or seniors, or you come up with the topics, folks. But those are the grants that we are going to receive. Anything else, you'll have to wait for another year, because otherwise so much of the money does not get spent, and it's wasteful. And I really want to make sure that organizations can fund the things that they really are seeking in these applications. And I hate to see, does anyone know, do you remember the amount of money that was turned back? They don't actually get the money. They have to do the work, buy the whatever it is, turn in receipts to the city, and then they get reimbursed. So if they've requested $1,500, we gave them $300. Organizations, nonprofits, many cannot make up that difference of $1,200. And so the $300 just rolls back into the fund. Ms. Paulseth, do you have that number?
I don't have the exact amount, but I do think it was close to $10,000.
Okay, and that's $10,000 that didn't get used by groups. So, that was just my idea. Let's come up with maybe 4 categories, and then we rotate through those, or if council members have better ideas, we don't have to decide tonight. Maybe you want to think about it, and we can bring this back up. We'll still have plenty of time. I think Ms. Paulseth, when do the grants, when do we have to have those by?
Mayor Abrams, I believe that Ms. Knudsen collects those in September.
Ms. Coleman?
Clarification, what happens is in August, Ms. Knudsen will publish in the Maplewood Living and other places our website, letting people know and actually sending letters to past recipients saying that it's going to be open again, get your requests in, and then you make the decisions in September.
Okay. So based on our next council meeting, would that be enough time if we wanted to do something different, or do we need to have that discussion tonight?
I don't think we have to have the discussion tonight. One of the idea that I just had was maybe I could send out a survey to all of you and ask you what some of your program areas might be, or recipients, what kind of grouping you would put that in, and we can talk about it at the next meeting and try to finalize that.
I think that's a great idea. Councilmember Juniman, you had your light on.
Just a little background. It didn't just start when you came, trust me. We used to get as much as $145,000, and it was just as bad. You still couldn't decide who should get what. And we did try changing the application to say, if you are not awarded your full amount, could you use a lesser amount, and how? That helped a little bit, because then some would say, okay, well, we really want a whole bank of lights for the auditorium, but we'll take we'll take 4 or whatever. So that helped a little. But as the money's been shrinking, I think this is a much better idea, because first of all, people spend time on those applications.
Right.
and we give them hope, and it's probably hopeless. I mean, it just, when you have that little bit of money. So I think it's a good idea.
Councilmember Cave.
Thanks.
My question was just on when the applications are due. So I think we said September or October they go out.
Right, and that's just the timeline we've always used. It doesn't say we can't change that if we had a good reason to, but that's how we've been doing it.
Okay.
So council members, what do you think of the idea of sending out, City Manager Coleman sending out a survey?
That's a great idea.
I like it. Be helpful to have some of the sheets from the past.
Oh, sure.
You know, just
So that we know what the groups
categorize.
are, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That have typically put in an application. I just think that I want to make sure that the groups can actually use the money, and we don't want $10,000 rolling over another year when there is so much need out there. So, thank you, council members. And one other thing that I wanted to throw out there under council comments is I would like to see an update on the Parks and Rec and the Nature Center Task Force recommendations. And that would require staff, obviously, to do some follow-up on that. You know, we're going into talking about our budget, and I think we need to know where are we. We utilized 2 task forces as a result of making some changes in both Parks and Rec and our Nature Center because we weren't able to do programming during the pandemic. And so we used that as an opportunity to review what is it that we've been doing, what's working, how can we make these kinds of programs sustainable. And we utilized 2 different task forces, and they came up with recommendations. They met, they worked very hard, and I'd like to see where are we with that. Council members, what do you think? Okay, I see a lot of shaking heads. We put things onto our agenda here, or on council comments, based on, you know, input from the whole council. So I think we will, whenever staff can get something like that put together and get that on either a workshop or a presentation during a council meeting, that would be helpful. Where are we with those recommendations? And what are we looking at for the future?
And just to clarify, Mayor, I think we would put it on a council agenda because that's where we have given those updates in the past.
Okay,
So,
that's great.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Council members, anyone else want to add anything? Okay, council presentations. Councilmember
Sorry.
Oh, important
Councilmember
community.
Juniman reminded me
events.
that I forgot to comment on the upcoming community events. And so the big one that's coming up is National Night Out, and that's Tuesday, August 3rd from 5 to 9. And we usually do a really good job of partying in Maplewood. There are lots of block parties, and a lot of the staff in the room tonight will be attending those parties, as well as myself and council members, and it's a great opportunity to connect with your neighbors and to have some pie or whatever. They always have lots of good food, and they're very generous with us when we come. So just wanted to point that out. That's a great evening for us all. Saturday, August 14th will be the Rice and Larpenter Summer Block Party, and that's from 11 to 3. And then on Saturday, 9/11, the Maplewood Mall is sponsoring a Touch a Truck event, and it'll have food trucks and all kinds of activities for the kids, and it's been well received in the past. So we will make sure that we're helping the mall publicize that event as well. And with that, Mayor, now I think I'm completed with my report.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. Councilmember Juniman, you wanted to talk about lawn mowing.
Yes. That's kind of following on your comments from the water department. Since we're an environmental city and we try and present ourselves that way, and water is an issue, it sounds like, I am sort of pleading with people to protect your lawn and conserve water and don't mow it like someone who has a flat top. If you've noticed the people who insist on mowing their lawns to this high every week, they have a brand new color. It's called flaxen. They aren't the least bit green. And then you feel obligated to use water to make it green again. And as she pointed out, that's something that really is becoming more of an issue. So helping our community look a little better, giving yourself a little less work once in a while, and less demand for water. Please let your grass grow a little longer. I really don't think half an inch is necessary unless you're running a golf course. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Juneman. And I wanted to follow up. At our last meeting, we had a presentation by Carrie Collins from Ramsey County on the HRA levy that the county board has adopted that will go into effect next year. And I think the council had kind of expected that our County Commissioner, Victoria Reinhardt, would have been here as well. She happened to be in Maryland. She was not in the state and could not come. And so Councilmember Cave asked if we would follow up with her, and I did follow up with her. And at this point, there isn't anything new in terms of how the county is going to be implementing yet. But there will be, and she is more than welcome to come back. She is, willing to come back and talk with us once there's additional information. But right now, we heard everything that is relevant right now from Carrie Collins. But what she did do was she invited you to give her a call if you have any specific questions. And if you don't have her number, either I can give it to you, or I'm sure City Manager Coleman can give it to her, or give it to you. But that way you can follow up directly if you do have specific questions. I do know that we did ask a lot of good questions of Ms. Collins. And so if there's anything else that you want to ask, just contact Victoria Reinhardt directly, okay? You bet. Did you encourage her to watch the... Yes, I did. And she said she was going to. She had talked to Carrie, though, and knew all of the things, and she knew the PowerPoint. And I think she's going to other cities as she is able to attend their meetings. So the very next thing that we have is a special night, swearing-in night. This always is exciting. It's one of my favorite nights with the City Council, and we have our two new candidates looking very nervous up here. But that's okay. We're all very friendly. So I am going to turn that over to the chief. Welcome, Chief. This is his second council meeting as our chief.
All right. Good evening. Let me start by thanking the mayor, city manager, and city council for your support, as well as the officers, firefighters, and command staff you see standing behind me. I believe I also saw a couple of MAC members in here tonight as well, so definitely showing their support for the swearing in of our two new officers, Tani Matias and Terrell Herr. Council, in the spring of 2021, Maplewood held a traditional recruitment and hiring process. The process included written assessments, multiple interview panels consisting of community stakeholders, police supervisors, and command staff, as well as a comprehensive background investigation, psychological evaluation, and physical testing. With over 40 other applicants to compete against, both Terrell and Tani rose to the top, and despite being in multiple other agency processes, they chose to work for Maplewood. I'm incredibly proud of both of you. In the next coming days, months, or even years, at some point in time, you will stop and ask yourself, probably more than once as I did, why did I sign up for this job? When you think of this question, I encourage you to think of just three things. Number one, you want a career in one of the world's greatest, most rewarding, and honorable professions. Number two, you want to make a real difference in our community and in this profession. And number three, and probably most importantly, our community and this profession need you. If not at any other time, policing needs you now. Tomorrow, you will each receive a personally signed letter from me. In that letter, it will outline my expectations of you and of all new Maplewood police officers. Never forget that you each represent approximately 20 other qualified applicants who did not make the cut. The closing paragraph of this letter will state the following. I trust that you will always conduct yourself in a manner that will validate the wisdom of the Maplewood Police Department having hired you, as opposed to the other 20 unsuccessful candidates that wanted to wear the badge that is now pinned proudly on your chest. Please don't ever forget the high standards and expectations that we have for you as new members of the Maplewood Police Department. In closing, I want to make sure I communicate to you and your families, congratulations, and remember to always serve our community and profession with pride and honor. Once again, congratulations, Tani and Terrell, and be safe out there. At this time, I'll call Tani Matias up. Just going to read a quick bio on Tani before we swear her in. So, Council, this is Tani Matias, also known as Badge 423. Tani was raised in Coon Rapids, Anoka area, and has lived in the area for the majority of her life. She's a proud mother of three who raised them all while continuing her law enforcement education as well as working full-time. Tani spent 6 years in the Minnesota National Guard and has also worked as a Minneapolis Police Reserve. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Tani was given the opportunity to begin working security at a hospital that focused on mental health and chemical dependency. This opportunity has taught her a lot about de-escalation and how to relate to individuals who are dealing with crisis. Tani believes that these skills are essential to 21st century policing and will aid her as a police officer. Tani graduated from her skills program in May of 2021 and expected to begin her journey with the Maplewood Police Department and begin a partnership with the community. At this time, Tani will be sworn in prior to having her badge pinned.
Can I have you stand? Bring your right hand up. I, Tani Matias, do solemnly swear
I, Tani Matthias, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of Officer of Police Officer
of Officer of Police Officer
in the city of Maplewood,
in the city of Maplewood,
in the county of Ramsey,
in the county of Ramsey,
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have courage
I will always have courage
to hold myself and others accountable
to hold myself and others accountable
for our actions.
for our actions.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Miss.
And as part of Maplewood tradition, Tani will have her brother pin her badge. Harder than it looks.
He's a pro. What do you mean? I want to say thank you first to the City of Maplewood for allowing me to serve you. I intend to serve you well and graciously for hopefully my entire career. I also want to say thank you to my family members, my husband, and my friends who have allowed me to vent and cry on their shoulders through the last several years. It has been a hardship, and they've also been excellent child care providers. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Mayor, Council, this is Terrell Herr, also known as Badge 425. Terrell was born in Marietta, Georgia, and raised in Minnesota. He graduated from Century College with an Associate of Science degree in law enforcement and received his skills certificate from Hennepin Tech in May of 2021. After completing his skills program, he applied to the Maplewood Police Department and ultimately chose to work here because it provided him the opportunity to work closely with the community. Terrell is looking forward to being part of the Maplewood Police Department, which puts an emphasis on community engagement and working in partnership with Maplewood's diverse community. Terrell further stated that as a Maplewood police officer, he will be given the unique opportunity to work or to make a direct impact within the Maplewood community that he will serve, and that he will be a part of something greater than himself, knowing that he is truly making a difference. At this time, Terrell will be sworn in as Badge 425.
I, Terrell Herr, do solemnly swear
I, Terrell Herr, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Police Officer
of the office of police officer
in the city of Maplewood,
in the city of Maplewood,
in the county of Ramsey,
in the county of Ramsey,
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself and others accountable
to hold myself and others accountable
for our actions.
for our actions.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Terrell will now have his mom pin on his badge.
First, I would like to thank the mayor and city manager and the rest of the city council members for this unique opportunity to work for the city of Maplewood. I had other opportunities to work for other cities and departments, but I ultimately chose the city of Maplewood because of its emphasis on community engagement, and that's what I really want to do. I thank my family and friends for giving me the supports mentally and financially, and just being my backup for whenever I need it the most. Thank you.
Pictures.
Now that the room has cleared, they're all going to go and enjoy some cake and celebrate, I think. So we only have one item left on our agenda. It is the consent agenda. There are 3 items on it. I would like to highlight number 3 because it is a grant, and Maplewood is known for our grant
You
applications.
took my thunder.
Sorry about that, Councilmember Juniman.
Sure.
City Manager Coleman, do you want to do this one?
Be happy to. My computer here. So Councilmember Abrams is correct in identifying this as a really great grant. Mayor Abrams, what did I say?
You said Councilmember.
Sorry. Sorry about that, Mayor. This is a grant that was awarded to us through the Minnesota DNR, their Shade Tree Program. And they offered us a grant in the amount of $43,038 to support boulevard tree planting and to help us with our battle with emerald ash borer. And so part of the requirements of that grant was that the city also contribute $33,750. And so the motion this evening is for you to approve a dedication of a total of $33,750 in funds from the fees for service line item budget as indicated in the staff report. And this comes out of our forestry budget as a cash match for the Minnesota DNR Shade Tree Program Bonding Grant. And this money is not newly created for this. This was already in the budget, and it was in there for our EAB and Boulevard Tree Planting Replacement Program. So with that, Mayor, staff would recommend that you approve the motion to dedicate that money.
Thank you. I always think it's a good idea to make a special recognition because our city staff apply for so many grants and are successful so many times. And really, this is free money to do something that we were already going to do, but we are going to be helped by the Minnesota DNR to the tune of $45,000. So, Councilmember Juneman.
I'd just like to especially thank Carol Gurnis, who is our Natural Resources Coordinator, and Audra Robbins, the Parks and Recreation Manager, for the work on the grant.
We couldn't do it without staff, absolutely. So thank you, Carol, and thank you, Audra. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda, Council
I
members?
move consent agenda items G1 through 3.
Second.
Moved by Juneman, seconded by Cave. The motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We have no public hearings tonight, no unfinished business, no new business, no award of bids, and therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned.
I'm so